Hey, friend, welcome, welcome. So today was my first session, pardon me, my first session of radiation treatment for breast cancer. And I wanted to go ahead and check in and kind of give you a play by play on this process because I think there will be those who are going into this that have been diagnosed and radiation is in your future, and maybe this is scary for you. And I want to talk about what it's like. One, because I think we should have these conversations very forthright about and honest about how things are. Um, and also just because I think it's good for a broader audience to know what these things are because those horror stories from cancer are really well advertised, and if you hang out in a crowd of people who know your diagnosis, people will come up to you and tell you stories about how, whatever, some other person went through a horrible thing, and you know and people who have had cancer will come and tell you their own horror stories. And cancer treatment may or may not have changed and improved in the recent most 50 years. I think it probably has changed quite a lot. Um, and so it's important when we tell each other stories about cancer that we don't just tell the horror stories, because that creates an environment of fear. And I don't want to be a part of that. So I want to talk a little bit about what radiation is like for me in my story. And you'll see what you think, um, see if any of this is helpful for you. So today is day 1 out of 20 sessions. I will be there 5 days a week, 4 weeks, which is a 40-minute drive there, probably about 40 minutes by the time you get in and set up and back out and everything. 40 minutes in the hospital, and then a 40-minute ride home. And today we stopped on the way back and had lunch with a friend, which was awesome. That is absolutely the way to do this. That's the best way to do this. Okay, so my radiation journey started with a simulation, and the first simulation, I was only able to get my arms to this position. Now, if you uh, are in radiation, you need to have your arms high over your head, which I can do now because I've had physical therapy. And actually, I don't know if you can tell what I'm doing, but further back. Now, this actually really hurts. So I have still a little work to do to get this arm in the position that they actually want it in. But we're getting there. We are making progress. So that's good. So the first simulation I wasn't able to do because I couldn't get into position. The second one, after 4 rounds of physical therapy, I was able to get into the position. So then I got six little tiny, can you see? Six little tiny tattoos, one here, one in each armpit, and then 3 on my belly. And they use those to line me up with a machine so that I don't get, so that the radiation is going where they want it to go. And the, and I came home covered in Sharpie marks that time. And then there was another one. It's not a simulation that, well, I guess it kind of is. It's another scan, it's another pre radiation appointment. And that one was more Sharpie marks right on up to my chin and everything. And actually, it was kind of interesting because it showed there was she went after me with a pink, no, not pink, green, after me with a green Sharpie. And I came out looking like some drunk Picasso had gotten a hold of me. But anyway, all the way up to the chin. Anyway, um, yeah, so I kind of have a feel for the treatment area based on where that marker went. Um, so, and then today was day 1. Now, um, I have had a lot of fear about going in for radiation therapy because early on in my diagnosis, I did a good bit of research. You know how it's a trauma response actually to just dive into the information and just research the heck out of something. Well, yeah, that's a trauma response that's not uncommon with me, is that my response is to take something that feels scary and hit it with a bunch of information. It doesn't always work, but it does. I find that it really helps for me when I'm going in for a procedure, and I can look it up on YouTube, and I may know what the sounds will be like. I may know, because I'm very sound sensitive, I may know what to expect in terms of how it feels. I may actually get to see the piece of equipment they're using. Like, I watched a video that even showed the needle for the biopsy and showed how they hit the button and it jumps, it clicks, it makes a clicking noise. And when it does that, it jumps into the tumor and takes like a core sample. So yeah, I'm off topic, but it helps me to kind of know what to expect, because sometimes when you're in the room talking to the doctor, maybe you're not asking the question you intend or whatever. And so it's also just good to have some of those things repeated so you can make sure that you're understanding. Anyway, so yeah, I read some things early on really weren't that helpful. So I just had a lot of fear about going in for radiation. So I have been making this a matter for spiritual practice for quite some time. This journey started for me, was diagnosed in January of this year, and it's October now. So I've been through chemo, I've been through 3 surgeries. Here we are, radiation, and I'm in a second round of a different kind of chemo now. So I'm doing a targeted chemo and radiation at the same time. So I asked questions. I made sure to go slow so that I didn't outpace my um, ability to understand what people were saying. Um, I asked a lot of questions. Yeah. I just had a lot of grace with myself in the process. And I asked to see the room early on. I asked to see the room where the radiation equipment was. So I got a feel for the space. For me, and I don't know if you're like this or not, but for me, rooms are not so much about visually, but each room has a feel. And that's definitely about architecture. It's also about color. It's about a lot of things. So I wanted to know what the feel of the room was. And all of that helped me get into a place of where I was feeling less fear about going in for my first radiation treatment. So by the time I was on the table today, that was my second time on that table. So I knew the drill. By that time, it was the third time getting into that position, because they, on a different table with the different setup, different room, they had showed me where to hold, because there's thingies to hold on to, grab onto. They showed me all of that, and it got squared away. So this was my third time in that position, and actually, this one was a shorter appointment than the last one, getting me set up and measured and everything. Because I was probably, I don't know quite how long to say I was on the table, but because there was not all of that whole preamble of getting everything measured and in place, and, scoot over a little bit this way and take a deeper breath and blah, 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 it went faster. So there was actually less time in that uncomfortable position. So that's good. So, yeah, I started out with a tremendous amount of fear about radiation. But as of today, going in, I felt a peace about it. And it's been such a journey. It's been such a journey because in the car on the way home from one of those appointments, I remember just the Holy Spirit just flooded me with peace. And that's when I knew it would be okay. For some people, radiation is not necessarily the direction that God has led them. Full respect, full understanding. I get it. Um, this is the path for me. I feel like this is the light that I'm walking in. I don't feel any need to defend my decision at all. I just know that it's not the same for everybody, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. So let's see. Yeah, by the time I was on the table, I knew that that was my place. I knew that that was right for me. And then this afternoon, I came home, and I'm part of a group called Daily Healer, which is a daily session that you can go in and really just explore with Jesus various things. And so that's really been formational and really helped me with fear and that kind of thing. And um, today, as I was in my journal with the Daily Healer, I felt like Jesus was with me in the radiation room, and that you're on a table and you're surrounded. I mean, this is my surrounded by this equipment that moves and hums and clunks and makes all this noise. And but instead of it being like big and scary, it was, here I am in a capsule of light, and the presence of Jesus is with me. And I could see, I could see this image of myself on the table being encapsulated in the light. Now, yeah, and because of the, I don't know, did I say this already? I'm kind of losing track of what I said and what I didn't say. I'm very tired. Um, the Because of where the cancer was for me, the process is I take a big deep breath in, and what that does is it moves the heart further away from the places that they're radiating. So I take a big deep breath in, and then they tell me that I can let it out. And there's a little screen that's like right here. Because if it's further away where you can see it comfortably, it would be in the way of the machine. So it's literally like right, cross-eyed in your face. But what it does is it has this dash on it. And it's like, the old Atari things, it shows you where your breath is. So like when you're just breathing normally, it's down here. But what they want you to do is take a big deep breath, and then when you take the big deep breath, then the line goes up here and you can watch it. And then um, every time your heart beats, the line does this little thing. So I'm watching and counting heartbeats until they tell me I can breathe again. It's actually really pretty interesting. And so did that. And they were really, something they did I thought was really kind. And they said, this is the last one. Big deep breath when you're ready. And I took my big deep breath. And then there's always a clunk. You take your breath in, clunk, you can hear it. And then there's clunk, another clunk. And then she says, you can breathe. So I'm learning to hear the sounds, and beginning to be able to interpret what they mean. You're about to be able to breathe again. That's a good clunk. So one of the things the Lord did while I was on the table today is these two things came up beside me, and I'm like, ooh, those are close. I don't like this. I'm feeling a little claustrophobic. And immediately that song came to mind. I think it's an elevation song. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. Yeah, my singing voice is crap today, but it's yeah, that idea that it may look like I'm surrounded by something scary, but I'm surrounded by God. I'm surrounded by that light. And that is such a blessing. You guys, that is just such a blessing. Is there anything else in here that I really need to tell you? Because I've really gone ramble city here. Okay, so what symptoms am I feeling? I'm feeling tired. I'm I don't know if I'm tired and kind of feeling a little bit exhausted because I had a really long weekend and didn't. There was one night that I didn't sleep very well. I don't probably did a little bit too much peopling this weekend, for me anyway. I need a lot of solitude to be energized, and so sometimes if I overdo it, then it really comes out in just tiredness. Um, I've got a little tension in my neck, and my throat is sore, but that's it. But all of that I think is easy to explain by other, you know, by we took a train ride yesterday in the country, and it was a scenic train tour. Oh, you guys, was so much fun. But it was 4 hours in the train, and that was probably about an hour too long for where I'm at right now. So I think maybe the soreness in my neck is probably from that, and probably the sense of exhaustion I have is probably from that as well. So far, oh, and I don't know, I should probably say this. A couple of people have told me that radiation is no big deal. It was chemo that was harder. For me, I didn't think that chemo was so bad. I at least understood what was happening, and felt like it traveled a very predictable line for me. Um, So, you don't feel you don't see the radiation happening. There's no like laser beams. I mean, there are laser beams that there's a green line that comes, that they line the system up with. But as far as being able to see the little laser beams that are doing their thing, there's nothing like that. There's no seeing it. There's no feeling it. So really interesting, really, really fascinating stuff. So yeah, that's the beginning of my radiation story. Let's see. I'd like to say that I will be here and just kind of report in every one of the 20 sessions. I'm not sure that's a promise I can keep, so I'm not going to make it a promise. We'll make it a suggestion to myself. If I'm not up for it, I'm not. It's just, I may or may not be up to it. So thanks for hanging out with me. If you are dealing with your own cancer diagnosis, please check out my blog, shenk.blog, not .com, but .blog, B-L-O-G. And you can read about my hair story, my hair loss story. I'm getting hair again. Yay! And by the way, this is not styled. This is precisely what it does without it. I mean, my hair when it's this short, it does nothing I ask it to. It is all just like it does its own thing. It's very, very I don't fight my hair. I was about to say my hair is stubborn and doesn't do anything it's told, but I don't fight my hair. This is not a battle I'll ever win anyway. So why fight it? Um, yeah. Okay, so maybe one other symptom that I'm experiencing is just kind of brain scramble that I have no idea how many times I've said some of the material that I wanted to share today. Like I may have said some of that twice, but it's sorry. It's just one of the symptoms of maybe not the radiation, but maybe the tiredness is just feeling like um, I'm probably talking in circles a little bit, which is pretty unlike me. So unless you go back through my Facebook lives and decide it is like me, in which case maybe it is like me. At any rate, thanks for watching. I will see you tomorrow, Lord willing.